Stephanie, what's been your biggest surprise since being a franchisor?
First, kind of, it's harder than I realized.
Sure.
Maybe because publishing and just being a publisher and a licensee, we had our issues, but it didn't require that much of us. We either solved it or we didn't with the licensing. And you
Right.
solve it by becoming a franchise.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
So franchising can be tricky. I think the other part was once I got involved with the community, how wonderful the community is.
Yeah.
How giving, how helpful. Everybody's got tips. I'm in a couple groups and masterminds, and everyone really wants to share, even when it's like it's not exactly like my competitor, but it's similar industries.
Mhm.
They people want to help. Maybe because franchising is tricky, we all want to help each other. I'm not sure.
I think that you might be onto something there.
But that was I did not realize the whole thing that was out there. I don't even think I knew what IFA was, back in 2012. I read a few books and we engaged our lawyer, and we just kind of got started, as rough as it was. And then around 2020 is when I got involved with the community and started learning best practices. And I feel like we're polishing everything up now.
Yeah. I don't think that there's an industry that hasn't franchised yet. And it's unnecessary to go at it alone. Somebody has probably done it. The old phrase, success leaves clues. And with the community being so generous, it's just silly to not be involved and find out what others are doing and the mistakes they've made. So you don't make them yourself. I don't know about you, but when I franchised, I literally had one shot at this. Like if it failed, I was going to be out of money and I don't know
Yeah.
what I would have done. I didn't have a plan B. So when you have only one shot and most of us only have one opportunity to make something work of this magnitude, you got to do whatever it takes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was just telling someone recently, we burned the ships a while ago. This is my
Absolutely.
full income stream. This has to work.
Yeah. Is this, it's been a legacy business for you all. Do you see this being a legacy business for you all long term, or do you see a window of time before you exit, sell, or do something else? What do you think?
So I kind of joke that my exit strategy is death. I don't see I don't see myself leaving. Now I know that sounds morbid, but
No, no,
I
no.
mean there's a lot of talk, as you know, private equity getting involved in
Sure.
brands. And I'll never say never, because there was a time when I said I would never franchise, and look at me now.
You learned.
So exactly, but I don't have a plan for bringing in private equity. I would kind of like to stay family owned if
Yeah.
we can. We're not in a hurry. I don't have, that we have to hit a certain mark at a certain point. We're just looking for the right people.
Good for you.
And as they come to us, we will grow. And if we got a little stagnant, that's okay too. We'll figure it out. But I don't want to make any drastic changes. To be honest, I've been self-employed for like 20 years. And so
Mhm.
it's hard to want to bring on somebody else, having me where I have to answer to someone. So
Good for
I
you.
would like to maybe continue that, but we'll see. Who knows? I may regret these
Well, I don't think
situations.
so. Stephanie, there are certainly pros and cons of working with private equity. And I know probably when this airs, you'll probably start getting even more phone calls about, hey, join our platform because,
Yeah,
and they'll give you A through Z of all the reasons why
yeah,
you'll still be in control. But let's face
yeah.
it, anytime you have an investor and they have a vested interest, they've put money into it, they are going to
Absolutely.
have a say at something, at some point.
That's
But
right.
it's not for everybody. And every PE, I will never just, I can't just blanket across say every private equity experience is the same. That is not true at all. They're all different. Private equity, there's good, bad, and ugly, and like in any business.
Right, of
I,
course.
what
I know.
I
I'm sorry. I was going to say I have
no
a
go.
franchisor friend who has a private equity partner. Has had a great experience.
Yeah,
I don't mean to say, oh, this is how it goes. It's just kind of a personal preference, I think, at this point.
sure. Well, the reason why I bring it up to you is because I sense from obviously talking to you and from being your brand being around for so long that you don't have that inherent pressure that franchisors typically do to selling lots of franchises to keep the doors open. You're not trying to just
Right.
keep the lights on by selling as many franchises. I mean, you have 22, which is great, but you're not saying I need to sell 50 next year.
No, not at all. No, I don't even want to grow that fast. That
Yeah.
that doesn't sound like quality to me based on how we operate. That's too fast for us. I know there's other brands that would do amazing at that, but
Mhm.
that would be too fast. I tell people we're probably not going to get to 1,000 centers. That's not really the goal. Our goal is to just bring on quality people and grow at the rate that makes sense. So my brother does the franchise sales, and I say, if you bring me quality, like we have goals, we'd like to sell 10 this year.
Okay.
But I was like, if you bring me 15 amazing people, I'm not going to say no
Right.
to the extra 5. We'll figure out onboarding and we'll hire another person. But I'm not going to say yes just to get to the 10 either. It's got to be the right people. If you bring on the wrong people, you're simply pushing the problem down the road a couple of years.
I agree. I agree. I always say pay now or pay later.
Correct.
If you take on the wrong person now and you get that franchise fee, you are going to pay like 10x in the damage that you're going to need to get that person out.
Exactly. So, especially when we were licensing, we kind of brought on people that we would not bring on now.
Of course, you were licensing.
And they didn't want to operate it in just different reasons, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just not the right fit. But we actually learned quite a few lessons just in licensing and choosing. So that's been helpful.
I bet. It must be pretty cool though, having your brother selling the franchises.
Yeah, it's fun. We have a good time.
That's great. Stephanie, what trends are you seeing in the industry? What changes are going on right now?
A lot of digital,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure all my competitors have a digital component. To be honest, we don't have an interest in going that way at this moment. The research for education really shows pencil and paper, and working with your hand and the movement is what causes those wonderful memories and going from short term to long term. So that's really our focus, just to stay a little bit techless with students. But then, of course, on the business side, get more involved with tech, make business even easier and faster and efficient, and to use tech that way.
Interesting you said that. I've learned through some of the personal development seminars and conferences I've been to over the years that very approach of writing something down, our retention goes up. It's like a crazy number, like 90%. Versus even just typing on the iPad or, putting something on our phone like in notes, that it's dramatically better.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like everybody feels like they're missing out if they don't have it. And so I understand. But number one, we're small. So putting resources to that would not be wise, in my opinion. And number two, what we do really works well. And we find parents are really kind of teched out. Like they don't want their kid on more screens and more iPad. That's never been a request that I know of. Definitely at the company store, but I'm not even hearing that from franchisees where parents say, "Oh, can we get it on tech? Can we get it on the iPad?" It's like, I feel like COVID was like overkill with all that. And then ever since then, parents are like, please just bring in paper. I want paper.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.